Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to build a React helmet component that you can use to dynamically change the meta information of the different web pages on your application. I would also recommend that you check out this video here. So this video that I'm referencing, I talked about HTML meta tags that you can add to your website to improve the SEO of your applications. So that video explains the meta tags, and then in this video I would show you how to use those meta tags in a custom React helmet component that we can use to dynamically change the meta information of the different web pages. So for example, a contact page has its own meta information, an about page has its own meta information, and if you also write articles, different articles have their own default, they have their own different meta information. So let's jump right into building this React component. So this application here is a Gatsby starter project, and if you don't know what Gatsby is a static site generation tool which allows you to do all your React dynamics, and then you can generate static files at the end of the build process. You don't really need to worry about the specifics of Gatsby, but we are only interested in two packages here. So we have the React helmet, which is the main dependency or the main package we'll be using for adding the helmet to our website, and then we have Gatsby plug React helmet, which actually works with React helmet during the whole static site generation. Now I think in next.js you also have a head component which you can use to do the very same, but we'll be using the helmet package here. So now I want to create my helmet component. Like I said, this helmet component is going to allow us to dynamically change the meta information of different web pages in our website. I'm going to start by importing React from React, and then I'm going to import helmet from React helmet, and I'm not going to call this helmet because I want to call this component I'm creating is going to be called helmet, so I'll probably just want to call it arrow helmet. I think I can just call it head, yeah, and then I can declare my helmet component, and now we can start. So this helmet component is going to accept many props, and these are the props that we're going to use to dynamically configure the meta information of web pages. The first prop is going to be title, and this is self-explanatory, the title of the web page. The next one is going to be description, which is the description of the web page. And this one is going to be the link, or maybe the path, or the slug, whatever you call it. And this is going to be the link of that particular web page, and we'll see why this is useful as we continue in this video. Then it's going to accept a keywords property. It's also going to accept an image card property, and the reason why it's going to accept an image card is if you look at this example here on Twitter, you can see that this is a link. This is not an image, it's not a media file on Twitter. It's actually a link, but then with the meta information that this website has, Twitter was able to add this image card here with this title, with this description. So yes, that is why we need the image card. And then we're also going to accept another property called large Twitter card, and this is going to be a boolean false or true. To explain what the large Twitter card does is this. So you can see here, this is a small image card. This is small, but if you look at this one here, this is a bigger one, and I would show you how to create that, but I'm just trying to explain why we need this large Twitter card. And then we're also going to have another one, add postfix title, and I'll explain what this means in a minute, but it can either be true or false. And then the no index prop, and what this no index prop, we're going to use it to determine if we want a particular web page to be indexable by search engines or to not be indexable. And then we have the very common prop, which is children. I also want to add that in this video, I'm not really going to focus on adding prop types or TypeScript. After this video, in the video description, I'm going to add a link to a repository where I show the prop types variation and the TypeScript variation. But in this video, I'm not going to worry about that. And before building our component, we're going to declare some variables and constants at the beginning of the file. The first one we want to declare is the domain, and this is going to be the domain of your website. I'll just call this mywebsite.com, and we'll see why we need this domain as we proceed in the video. The next constant is main keywords. So what are the main keywords of this website? This could be maybe tech, software, content creation, videos. The purpose of this main keyword is for every web page, we don't want to repeat ourselves. So I don't want to write tech, software in different components. So I'm just going to have this as the main. And then if a web page is using this component, then they can provide extra keywords. So these are the main keywords. And then I'm going to have a default image card, and this is going to be a link to any image of your choice, either hosted on your website or on a different website that you are permitted to use. So let's just say there's an image on this URL here, image card. And then there's going to be default title, and this is useful if a component makes, or if a web page makes use of this helmet component and they do not provide a title. We want to have a fallback title, which is the default title, and we can just call this title, this is my website. Then we have default description, and just the same thing for the title. If a description is not provided, we're going to use this. So this is the description of my website. Also, we're going to have the favicon source, which is for the favicon of your web page. And let's just say there is a favicon located here, favicon.ico. And then the last constant we're going to have is the postfix title, and this is what it looks like. So basically what this postfix title does is, in this prop here, if we say, or if a component says add postfix title, then we're basically going to add this to the end of the title. So for example, if the postfix title is maybe, or if the title is contact page and the postfix title is also true, then it's going to look like this. So these are constants. Now let's jump to actually building the component. And one thing we're going to do here is we're going to declare a default for the title prop. So if the title prop does not exist, we are going to use default title. If the description does not exist, we're going to use the default description. And also for the image card, if an image card is not provided, then we're going to use the default image card. Now let's jump here. The first thing we want to check or create a variable for is the meta title, and I'm using let here because I'm going to modify it, as you'd see now. So first I'm going to check if the add postfix title is true, then the meta title is going, okay, just to make this more readable, I would create this. So the meta title is going to be equal to title plus postfix title. But if the postfix, if the add postfix title property is false, then the meta title is going to be just title. That's for the meta title. I'm just going to format this. Then the next thing, we're going to have a meta disk, and I'm just trying to create the variables with a meta prefix so that we can easily identify them. So I'm just going to have the description here. Next is the meta link. Now this meta link is going to be domain plus the link. So for example, if this is coming from a home page, the link would be this. If this is coming from a contact page, the link is going to be this. So for our meta link would now be something like https mywebsite.com/contact. So that's why we are adding the domain there. The next thing we want to check is the meta keywords. And for the meta keywords, we're going to check if the keywords pass to this. Okay, I think I'm also coming here to these keywords, and I'm going to add a default of an empty string. So if the keywords.length is greater than 0, then I'm going to add the main keywords plus this with the comma plus keywords. But if the keyword is an empty string, then I'm just going to have the main keywords like this. So the next thing is the meta image card. And of course, by default, the image card is this default card here. But what I want to do is to check if this image card has HTTPS in it or if it doesn't. And if it has HTTPS, it means it's a full URL. And if it doesn't have HTTPS, it means it's a half URL probably hosted on this website, and I'm going to attach the domain to it. So I'm going to check if image card starts with HTTPS, then the meta image card is going to be the image card. But if it doesn't start with HTTPS, or I could also make this HTTP or HTTPS, let me leave it that way. So if it doesn't have the HTTPS, then it means the meta image card is going to be the domain plus the image card. So if it doesn't have the HTTPS, it means it's hosted on this website, so I have to add this domain. Then one more thing we're going to add, or I think is remaining two, we're going to add the meta robots. And in my previous video, I explained that the robots meta tag is used to inform search engines if they should index your web page or if they shouldn't. So for the meta robots, I'm going to use the no index property that I had here. So I'm going to say if no index, then use no index as the meta robots, and if it doesn't have that, then use index and follow. And of course, you can modify these to look like what you want. Maybe you want no index and follow instead of no follow, but this is just a template showing you how to use it. And then the last variable declaration we're going to have is the Twitter card type, and this is where we use the large Twitter card property. So if the large Twitter card is true, we're going to use summary large image, and if it is false, we're going to use summary. And going back to this example that I showed you, you can see this is large, so this is the summary large image. But when you go back here, this is the summary, so you can see the image is smaller and this is more of a summary. So that is all for our variable declarations. Now let us use the helmet component. So we're going to return, and I'm going to have the head here, and this is where we can finally use all of these variables to make up the meta information. So first off, I'm going to have the HTML elements, and this is going to have a language of English. Then I'm going to have a title, and this would be meta title. Then I'm going to have meta name description, and this is going to be meta disk. And then we have link, the canonical link tag. So if you checked my previous video, I explained that the canonical link tag is used to inform search engines of what an original content is and what a duplicate content is, and that's why we need the link. So let's say this page is also a duplicate of another page. Using this canonical tag, we can tell search engines that this particular link here is the original link, and you should only index this page and not index the duplicated pages. And if this does not really make sense, you can check out the video I mentioned earlier. Then next we have the meta name keywords, and for the keywords, this is going to be meta keywords. And then for the robot, so this is going to be name robots, and for the content, this is going to be meta robots. And then we're also going to have the icon, mistake. So we're going to have the icon, and this is going to be the favicon source or favicon link, whatever you want to call it. Now these are the basic things we need for SEO, but then we also want to add social media previews like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and this is where we can use this property. So we have the meta, we have the property. So we're going to start with, I think I'm going to add a comment here. We're going to start with the OG tags. So right here, I'm going to have OG URL, and I'm also going to pass the meta link here, apply a little formatting, and then I'm going to just duplicate this, and I'm going to have OG title, and here I have meta title. Duplicate this again, description, and I have meta disk here. And OG also has type, and I'm going to say this again, if some of these terms do not really make sense to you, you can check out the video where I explain what these properties are. So for the OG type, if you are working on a website, it could be a website. If it's an article web page, could be article, it could be video, it could be music. I'm just going to leave this as website. I'm going to duplicate this again, and then for the OG image, this is where I'm going to have the meta image card. So that's it for the OG tags. Now let's go to Twitter tags. Twitter tags. So for the Twitter tags, I would copy this again and come here. So we're going to start from Twitter site, and Twitter site, like I mentioned in my previous video, is basically the Twitter username of this website. So if this is your portfolio, you can simply write your username. So this is my own username, and this is my portfolio, of course, so it is still me. But if probably it's maybe it's a company like Google, maybe a Google website or something, then you can have Google's username or whatever. I'm just going to have this as Twitter username of website. Next, we have Twitter title, and this is also going to be the meta title. And next, we have description. This is description, and we have meta disk. And then next, we have Twitter creator. So the way creator works, so for site, this is like the Twitter username of the website, but for creator is the author of the current web page. So for example, if you have a website where different people have access to publishing content, then the creator for each content would be those authors. So, and of course, if this is my portfolio, then I can still also have my username here, but I'm just going to leave this as Twitter username of web page content author. And I go down, and this is where I have the Twitter card, which is summary large image or summary, as we saw up here. So down here, I'm just going to have Twitter card type. And lastly, I'm going to have the Twitter image, and here I'm going to specify meta image card. And then the last meta information I'm going to have, which is not social, is more of a referral thing, and this is going to be the referral meta tag. And right here I can have origin when cross origin. I'll leave a link in the description to better explain what this means. So this is our helmet component, which we have modified. Now for every page that uses this, we can specify the title, we can specify if we want a large Twitter card, or if we want to add the post feed title and all those things. Okay, one thing we also missed here is the children prop. So for example, if there's a component using this helmet component, and maybe it wants to add an extra meta tag that wasn't provided here, it can add that in the children. So this is basically it. I'm going to leave a link to this in this video description. It's a repository that shows the TypeScript version and the prop types version. But let me just quickly show how to use this before ending this video. So right here in the home page, now you can see there is already an SEO component that was created in the Gatsby starter, and it looks almost like what we have. They have the description, OG title, OG this, and OG that. And you can choose to use this if you're using Gatsby, or you can choose to modify this to look like this. But I'm just going to use what I just created. So I'll call this helmet, and this is from components helmet. And this is going to be helmet here. Now I'm going to just show this here and close that tab there. So for the helmet, I'll get rid of this. So we can add a title, homepage. Do we want a postfix title? True. Large Twitter card is already false, so would love to leave that as false. For example, for me, I love using summary when it's just contact page, my page, like this. But when I have articles, like when I write an article, I love using the large Twitter card so that the article cover shows correctly. So it's already false, and I'm going to leave it as false. For keywords, I can just add homepage, my main page, and of course in the keywords of the meta information, it's going to be all of these main keywords and these keywords here. Then I can specify a description, or I may not need to specify a description, and it's just going to use the default description here. For the image card, I'm not going to specify anyone, so it's going to use the default image card. And really, that's it. And if I'm also creating a set of like articles, I can also use this helmet to specify the article title. And then in the article template, I'm also going to have large Twitter card to be true, because I want the article's cover to be big, to be the summary large image. And I'm also going to specify the image card to be the post.cover, and this would be post.title, and then I'll have the description, and it's going to be post.description. So with this helmet with so many properties here, I can create dynamic meta information for the different web pages I have on my website. And that's it for this video. If you found it helpful, kindly share, and also like this video and subscribe for more videos.